Hello everybody and welcome into Emily's Upcycled Home. On today's video I have a special Christmas in July video. I hope these pieces inspire you to create for your Christmas this season, and I hope you guys all enjoy the video.
So let's get started.
So I'm going to be coming in with this cute little deer napkin, and I'm going to use this image right here. And I just want to remind you all that remember, when you use napkins to decoupage with, you want to take off all the extra plies of the napkin, and you just want to get a little Mod Podge on your fingers just to wet it so you can separate the plies of the napkin here, because you want to get down to this one sheet here so that the decoupage will hold onto it and the paper's thin enough to adhere to your item. So we're going to come in with this beautiful napkin and create some fun Christmas items.
Project number 1. So in my stash, I actually had this in my decor, and I'm ready to part with it or do whatever it is I'm going to do with it. But I'm going to do 2 different sides. One side is Christmas and one side just more like a rustic look, so it's switchable. And I'm coming in with Dixie Belle Chalk Mineral Paint, and I know I use a lot of this on my Facebook page over on my Christmas in July week, but you guys, I need to use up these paints. They're kind of, it's too hot for them, and they're kind of getting a little bit thick here. So we're going to just come in and layer up one coat, a very thin coat, because I do want some of the wood tone underneath that paint to show through. If I had a wipey or if I got up to wet my rag, I would come in and pull a little bit of that off. I'm just coming in with a napkin and wiping some of it off. But once again, if you want a thinner layer and more see-through, you can add that wet wipe or wet napkin. So as far as our little deer here, you want to come around and fussy cut him out all around. You could leave a little edge, but go in with your scissors and trim up your deer. And I'm also going to come in and use these little red strips of paper, also from that same napkin, and our Mod Podge to attach everything. Now I'm just going to come in here and see where I want to place my deer before I start Mod Podging everything down. And I'm going to put him kind of in the center of the piece. So I'm just going to layer a thin layer of Mod Podge onto my board here, and then apply my little deer. Now, if wrinkles bother you, you can do the iron-on method, or you can iron in your piece after you do this process as well. Sometimes I come back in with my iron and smooth everything out, but make sure you put your parchment paper down before you iron your image. And I'm just going to layer this Mod Podge back over the top of our deer, just kind of trying to blend him into the piece. And like I said, we're going to come in with those strips of red, because I do want to bring in red on this Christmas in July video, since I did not do that on my Facebook videos. So I'm just repeating that process of coming back in with that Mod Podge. And I'm going to trim off that little tail because we really don't need it there. And then I'll go ahead and layer my Mod Podge in again, and you're going to see I take this off because I do see that I didn't put it on so straight, so I am reapplying that here. Then I'm going to come in with my hand, kind of smooth everything out, and then just come back in and repeat that step of reapplying that Mod Podge on the top. Now, once everything thoroughly dries, we'll come in and sand all the edges and all the corners, but you want to make sure your Mod Podge sits and let this thoroughly dry before you do that process. So I'm coming back in with another strip of that beautiful plaid. Is that a plaid design, you guys? So I'm going to come in with the top, and I'm just going to layer again. Now I'm using the straight edge because this was at the bottom of the napkin, so I'm using the straightest edge possible on the inner side of the piece so it looks nice and neat there. I'm going to apply more Mod Podge in and let this thoroughly dry, and when we come back, guys, we'll come back in to sand everything and smooth out everything. But so far, this is where we're at. And if you missed any of my projects for my Christmas in July week, go check them out on my Facebook page. So now that we have our deer on, I found a cute little straps of some leftover IOD transfers, and I think I'm going to go ahead and add these to the base of our pieces here where the napkin and our wood tan color meat. So I'm going to just layer these up, and if you haven't used transfers yet, you can just layer on your transfer, rub on your piece, pull back the little plastic backing, and then your image has been adhered to your project. I'm just coming in with my brush because that's what I have on hand, just rubbing in those transfers, and then I'll go ahead and piece together the transfers for the top. Now these are just scrap transfers I had from, I think, the Christmas release last year of IOD, and I'm just going to repeat that process for the top as well, rubbing in around that circle edge. Now I think I do want to come in with some little greenery here, so we'll decide if we want to go ahead and add that in there, but first we need to go ahead and seal this whole piece up. To seal this piece, I am coming in with Dixie Belle's Flat Finish top coat, and I'm going to just put one layer on top of that. And if you want to add more layers, you can go ahead and do so. Now, because this is raised a little bit, I'll probably come in later once I get my parchment and iron on that image just a tad. And I'm going to come in back with my French linen color and just go around the image of the deer, blending in that edge of the napkin. And then I decide to come in with my Note Well by Fusion and just add some little stripes here on through the deer, through the bottom of the piece. And we'll also come in with some Mercantile Stamp by IOD and add a little embellishments here. Now I'm going to add my affiliate link down in the description if you're interested in any of the IOD products that I use on today's video, any of the Fusion Paint products, or any of the Dixie Belle products that I use, all in one shop stop with my affiliate link. So we're going to go ahead and finish this up by adding some DIY dark wax to it, and I'm going to age it up a little bit. You saw me there first just coming in and just distressing up the little numbers that we added while the ink was still a little wet. Go ahead, wipe off your excess of your wax, and then I'm just going to embellish it with a little bit of greenery and a pine cone. Project number 2. Well, for project number 2, I'm going to do the second half of the board, coming in with that cathedral paint again, and I'm just going to put a thin layer over that and just stamp our design for our Mercantile Stamps by IOD. Now I like the way this came out because my paint's not wet, so it really came out faint and distressed. Go ahead and add the year stamp and come back in with my little green lines across the top. Now I'm keeping this simple because I kind of see this for a fall piece. You just flip it over for fall and arrange it with pumpkins. I'm going to put this green line through my year, and then I'll come back and start stamp since right there. And then we're going to go ahead and age up this piece again with some dark wax, add our little greenery to the pieces, and then I decide to come in and add like a little black and white checker style bow. And because you can see it from the other side, I went ahead and flipped my board over and attached a second one with our deer print. We're moving on to project number 3, glass jar mini tree cuteness. Now I have these in my mystery box. They're already painted, so I can't tell you what color they are, and they just look like little salt and pepper shakers, maybe from the Dollar Tree. But I'm gonna go ahead and guess what I'm gonna do. When you have a little bottle and you're doing Christmas in July, what are you going to add to it? You guessed it, a tree. But first I'm going to come in with these cute little bird images that are winter images, and I'm going to trim them up to the size of the first side of the bottle here. And we are going to just use, this is printed on regular printer paper. I'm coming in and just sizing it up to where I want it and coming in with our regular Mod Podge. Now you're going to see me attach these with the Mod Podge and then run my finger through the image because there are these little grooves on the glass That will add a little bit of texture and detail to our piece here. I'm going to repeat that step on our second jar here, adding in that other little blue bird, and come in with some sandpaper and trim up and sand off all the excess here of the paper. After I sand everything, I decide to come in and distress the bottle. And I had a little wording left over that said Merry Christmas on there. So I went ahead and broke up those wordings and added Merry and Christmas to the other jar. Now I'm layering these up with Mod Podge as I do everything, and then I let everything thoroughly dry. Now I did come in with DIY dark wax, and then we added a little bow. Itsy Bitsy Spools, project number 4. Now I needed something to stage with a little bit. These would look really cute in a jar. I got these spools in my stash, but I think they are from Hobby Lobby. So I am coming in with some DIY dark wax. We are going to add a little bit of that checkered ribbon here to go with some of our style today. And I'm just using some hot glue just to start it and end it. And then of course, I'm going to add little greenery stems in here, and these little cute spools are done. Moving on to project number 5, mini copper pieces. So I have these copper pieces and they're a little bit too bright for me, so I'm going to go ahead and paint them up with the same French linen color by Dixie Belle. I'm going to give them a thorough coat, let them dry, and we'll move on to adding some greenery. So here are our little pieces. So I'm going to decide to come in with some of these little labels. I'm just going to pick apart some of the wording on these pieces, cut them apart, and because of the angle of our little containers here, I went with a thinner strip and a thinner label, cutting them even further down. I come in with my Distress ink and Vintage Walnut, age up the pieces, and come in with my regular Mod Podge and attach that label to the top edge of our piece, going back over with our Mod Podge to seal in that. Now I'm coming back in with my Distress ink, and I'm going to use this kind of like a watercolor here and use my Mod Podge to activate that and age up our piece. And remember, I'm going to seal this up with that Mod Podge as well, and I'm coming in and doing the second one as well. I have a tree here that I'm going to pick apart the stems, cut off 2 pieces, and at the bottom edges around the base of the tree I add in some rice paper. You can also use tissue paper just to hold everything into place. And I come in with this bright green moss, just kind of reminds me of the forest and that bright green moss that you see on the trees. I go ahead and fluff up those pieces, and then these little things are done. If you miss my lives over on my Facebook page for Christmas in July, you can always go back and watch the replays. Project number 6, plastic plates. So I got these plastic plates in my mystery box. I was thinking, what shall I do with these pieces? Now, plastic is not really something I pick up, but we're going to go ahead and add some of this gray paint that I have in my stash, as well as my sea spray texture additive, and we're going to turn these plastic plates into a little fancier look than what they are. So I'm adding a little bit water because, like I said, my paints are messing up here. It's too hot for them, so I'm just going to come in with a stippling method, and I made this pretty thick, like almost like a plastery kind of chalk paint here, and I'm using that stippling method with my brush, building texture and building layers here with that one simple brush stroke of stippling. Now I'm going to let these thoroughly dry. I'll do the back side, and then we'll come back and complete the project. And if you like my items, you can shop with me over on Whatnot. I have show schedules, so go ahead and bookmark those so you don't miss them. So here we are with our plates dry, and once again I'm going to come in with this napkin. Now this piece is more like a budget friendly piece. If you have napkins or images you can tear apart and use. Of course, you can get some plastic plates at the Dollar Tree. You can have Mod Podge on hand usually. And for your texture, if you don't have that sea spray, you can just come in with your regular old baking soda and create a texture. But I go ahead and cut out my image and add Mod Podge over that. And off camera, I do heat set the image in with my heat gun. You You can also use an iron, but we're just going to thoroughly coat this with our Mod Podge and make sure that image is stuck to our plate here. Now it's going to be a little harder because we're going around all this texture piece, and this is going to be one of those pieces that looks great really far, but up close you can kind of see all the texture and the little bumps into the little piece. But we are going for the far away look here, so this is going to work out just fine. So after I have that thoroughly down, I'm going to come in with my gray paint once again and just go around our little piece here and go around the part where the little halo goes. And then you see me here coming in with just some green fusion paint in the color Noel, drawing on my cute little leaves here and coming in with a Sharpie to draw in my lines, and I draw in some little leaves later on. And here I am going to just stamp a little delicate image in the center here, and I come in creating a little bow for the top of our plates. Here's where I come back in creating those little veins of our leaves with just a regular Sharpie marker. Now, as far as layering up is concerned, I come in with some different layering here. I use white wax, I use dark wax from DIY, and I also use some distress inks here, just trying to build a layering look and one that I like for this project. Now I'm just messing around here and just like pressing in my image just to make sure it goes around all that little texture detailing, because this is where I heat set the item with my heat gun. And I want to bring in some red, so I bring it in my little red bow here and some bits of greenery stems that I have in my stash. Now this is a great project for you guys to just go through your stash and look for things that you have on hand and create with. So I go ahead and come in with some hot glue all that together, and then I found these tags in my stash and a vintage music sheet paper, and I just using my Mod Podge to stick that image onto one side of our little tags here. I go ahead and let that dry, and then I cut out each tag with my scissors, and then I'll measure it to fit the proper size of my piece, punching in a hole and distressing around the edges. Now I do just come in with a simple floral wire. It doesn't really matter, just for like look purposes, because we are gluing the back of the tag onto the piece. And then on one piece I write the number 25, and on the other one I write December. Lastly, we come in with some Dixie Belle gold gilding wax, go around the edge and the inside of the piece and hit that tag, and then our project is complete. For more DIY crafts, make sure you're giving me a follow over on my Facebook page, where I go live and give you more inspiration. We have reached the end of our video, and here are the finished projects. Let me know in your comments which project was your favorite. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you like my content. I thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys all on the next one. Bye, friends.